Systems. We are talking about systems today, and I brought in the expert, Emylee Williams. She's the founder, best-selling author, and consultant who works with small business owners to create, I love how this is, efficient ecosystems within their operations and marketing. She's obsessed with helping others design and run lean, aligned, and highly profitable businesses. So is that you? Do you want that? Maybe you're just starting out, but that is your goal. That's what you want. We kind of geek out about systems, how you create a system, how what her process is, how she thinks about it, and it's so good. She says some unexpected things. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you walk away with an idea for one system that you can implement today. Enjoy this episode with Emylee. Are you ready to work less, feel more organized and productive, streamline repetitive tasks, and implement systems that allow your coaching business to run smoothly even without you? If so, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Organized Coach Podcast, your go-to source for practical tips and solutions. I'm your host, Tracy Hoth, professional organizer, certified life coach, simplifying expert, and most of all, down-to-earth fellow coach just like you. No matter if you think you're missing the organizing gene, have ADHD, or just love anything organizing, I'm here to help you become an organized coach with a business that works for you. Pull up a seat and let's get started. This episode, if you want systems in your business, if you don't have a clue what systems are, if you're ready to hire someone but you don't have any systems in place, today is your day. I have Emylee Williams on the podcast. Welcome, Emylee.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get to know everything. You're kind of the systems and operations person. So just tell us what you do. I know you have multiple interests, so tell us what you do
How
first.
much depth do you want me to go into what I do? Well, the long and short of it is I'm an author and a consultant. At the end of the day, those are the two biggest arms of my business. I left my co-founding position as a CEO of a seven-figure agency about a year ago that I had ran for over 8 years and started my own consulting business where it is literally just me. I went from a team of 7 full-time employees, tens of thousands of students, millions of an audience within our podcast and our blog and our audience and subscribers and everywhere, to literally just me and starting over. And so I feel like I have a really unique perspective to bring to the table because I've been a part of really, really big organizations and really, really lean, tiny companies. And I also get to work with clients behind the scenes who have a mix of everything in between. And so I get to peek at the systems that they see as instrumental and non-negotiable, and the systems that maybe are a little clunky and we don't actually need, but everyone uses them, so they're there. And really, for me, getting to decide in the last year as I'm starting kind of over, but with 13 years of experience, what makes sense, what's worth it to have, what can I cut, and really how can I run a really profitable, lean company? And at the end of the day, that's what I'm really focused on, is going from such high overhead, which caused me a lot of anxiety. There were a lot of facets for why I ultimately stepped down from that role, but that was a big part of it. Something that I still struggled to kind of deal with on the month to month is, holy crap, our monthly expenses are more than like some people's salary and for the whole year. And that just kind of made me sick to my stomach some of the months. And it didn't jive with that. It didn't feel like it was something for me at the end of the day. And so simplicity is what I'm all about these days.
I know. I think about my own, having just talked to someone about nervous system regulation. I'm like, I have that and want to quit several times a month. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking if I had that pressure, I mean, that would be hard, challenging.
Yes. And it is, I think that we've seen, if you're in the online business space at all, and if you have been since pre-COVID, you've definitely seen the evolution of really ballooned businesses and teams to massively scaled down business and teams. And part of that is a response to less revenue, less sales, lower profit margins, and business owners having to make those choices. But I think a big part of that underlying decision and cutting off sometimes arms of business and laying off people and really scaling down was a response to our nervous systems freaking the heck out about how running that made us feel.
Yeah. But so much respect for you. Like, I just think you did that. Like, you grew a business, managed all these people. I mean, it's so amazing.
Yeah, I've done a lot of learning over the past, well, I've been a business owner for 13 years. It's looked a variety of ways, from it just being me when I was starting my very first business ever right out of college as a photographer, to starting to teach and educate and strategize and work with other small business owners and really getting obsessed with the idea of how can I help other people not just be more efficient for efficiency's sake. I think that there's a lot of like, I'm here to make you uber productive so you can get more stuff done. And that is not actually what I care about. I feel like that's what I used to
Mm.
talk about and what my belief system used to be. But truly now, if it's how can you design your day to day, the systems that you use, your support system, no matter what that looks like, if it's digital or if it's people, how can that truly support you to run a business that's in alignment? Whether you have to step away for kiddos or health, or you want to read a book or go for a walk or take a vacation or go on mat leave or literally whatever it is. I think that there's an immense lack of resources for small business owners who are in the online space or the one-on-one coaching and consultant space for how do we structure this thing to not get us in burnout? How do we structure this thing to where, man, I'm intentionally deciding to work these hours, and if is that what I want to be doing? Is that how I want to be spending my time?
So, do you think the answer to that is systems, having systems in place, or do you think there's a lot? I mean, obviously,
I mean,
there's
it's
more
definitely
to it.
multifaceted. I think systems, no matter what that looks like to use, systems can be an actual software, like a tool that we're using on our computer to organize our day to day, to automate things, to let, utilize systems to speak to each other. There's definitely the digital version of those systems. There's also process systems, right? Of how we're onboarding folks, how we're sending contracts and getting paid, how we're communicating with clients, how we're organizing those projects and our task and our day to day and our deadlines. Email, obviously, like a client and internal and external communication, but also the system of marketing and growing our business and how we're actually running it. I think that I know that I struggled with this, and because I've gotten a behind the scenes look at literally tens of thousands of business owners over the years, there's this like balance of figuring out what are the goals that I actually want to achieve, right? Like, what is that? What do I think I need to do in order to get there? What have I done already that has proof, receipts, data that have gotten me towards those results? And are those things in alignment? Am I assuming that I need to find success from an outside source that I don't know? A lot of this is social media geared, content geared, right? We start our businesses, we start to see some success, and then we think, okay, the only way for this to grow is to become really well known and put myself out there and create this content plan and grow on channels that maybe aren't my expertise or feel a little bit outside of my comfort zone. And I think the biggest struggle I know that I've dealt with is asking myself, am I not pursuing that because it's out of my comfort zone and it makes me uncomfortable, and so therefore I'm just kind of ignoring it? Or am I not pursuing that because something in my gut says it's not really worth the time and the juice
Mm.
isn't really worth the squeeze? And that intuition, that gut feeling, however that shows up for you, is sometimes really hard to pay attention to. But I've learned over the years that when I do pay attention to that, that's the thing that helps me narrow in and focus on the things that are actually worth creating a system around, creating a process around, and everything else I can ignore.
Well, and that seems to me it comes from trying it, testing it,
Yes.
and then looking at the data to see. So when I think, oh, how did we get clients?
Yeah.
Then what was worth it? And then do I want to do it But
Yeah.
it takes time, as especially as a new business owner, to figure out like what is going to work for me. And you look at
Yes.
all these business own or companies, whatever, telling you this is how you do it. No, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. And they all are right. You know, you could do it
100%.
all
Yes.
those ways,
Yes.
but then you
Yes.
got to figure it out yourself.
Yes. And I think, you know, over the years, I've become really obsessed with not just collecting data, but really learning how to interpret that. And there's 1,000 different ways each of us can interpret the same set of data, right? And so you have to understand what works for you, what makes sense for you. But my favorite thing to do, and I just walked a client through this the other day, she had just wrapped up a launch. She works one-on-one with clients and is needing, she's tapped out. When you work one-on-one and it's just you have a capacity, right? And so she's wanting to increase her revenue, but literally cannot work with any more clients. And she's at a threshold in her package price. She does keep increasing it, but she's kind of capped out with her market, with her offer. And so she's thinking of, you know, offering something that's a little bit more evergreen. It requires her time, but it's not custom experiences for each of the person. She's still showing up. She's still giving that expert knowledge in her industry and her subject matter, but she's not having to do it in a one-on-one capacity. And so I helped her design the launch of this offer, the pricing structure, the system of the tech of actually launching it, right? What are the pieces that connect to each other? And I think before we even get into the data, that was even eye-opening for her, because as someone who's worked one-on-one with clients for years, over a decade, it's pretty simple, right? You have a proposal, you have a call, you have a proposal, you have a contract, they pay you, and then you do the work. Like, that can be
Right.
pretty simple. You can do that as manually or as automated as you want. As soon as you start to offer a digital product, an evergreen product, now we're talking a wait list or a sales page. Are we making them apply? Do you have an early bird price? What's the full price? Is it quarterly? Do they get to renew? Well, how are we delivering them links? How are we giving them access? Are you going to have office hours or a community? Are you also going to post videos and PDFs, and where are those going to live? Are they on your website, or do you need a course platform? And it's all of these other elements that it was like, oh, just the idea of wanting to offer something like this. Now all of a sudden we have 100 other systems that we could be exploring. And so it was a really fun challenge of figuring out, okay, of the systems that we already use, how can we also repurpose those to deliver a new offer that isn't one-on-one, that isn't what she's used to delivering? And so that part was really fun to get to design. But then we launched it. She did an early bird. We opened the doors. We started her first cohort. She got probably 3 times, if not more, 3 times more than the amount of people who she thought would sign up. This is just our first time doing it. We're kind of testing the waters. And okay, holy moly, it's super responsive. What does that mean? So then I took the time behind the scenes, and I'm newly obsessed with Airtable. Do you use Airtable?
I don't, but I've seen, some Airtable
Yeah.
or worked with people that use Airtable, I should say.
It's one of my new favorite tools. I've been diving into it for the past, I don't know, 7 or 8 months, and there's a lot to learn there. But we've been creating some tables and bases for her. But basically, what I did was we've been tracking all of the people who, were interested in this offer, and then of the people who said yes, and did they sign up at the early bird versus the full price. And then I went in and did some digging. Where did these leads actually come from? Were they a referral? Were they from LinkedIn? Did they just see her waitlist page? So was it like SEO or content that led them there? She didn't run any ads, so we can kind of see where that came from. What price point did they join at? Were they on her email list before? And how long were they on her email list? How long did it take them to convert? All of this data, to me, is part of that system, because it informs
Yeah.
now what's worth our time for the next cohort launch. Now what's worth our time to automate and to create more content or systems and processes around. We saw that within the data, referrals and LinkedIn were her biggest, like, massive areas of opportunity. They were the people who converted. Of the people who converted from those sources, they converted in less than 7 days. Like, those are the people who, they don't know who you are. They converted in less than 7 days. You're creating an evergreen, I put that in quotes because you still have to do the work, a digital offer. You're going to need more leads for that. And so that's now what we're able to dial in. Okay, now it's worth creating a system for LinkedIn. Now it's worth creating maybe some sort of structured reminder for follow-up for your key referrals of your network of people who can introduce you to more people. And maybe we wouldn't have set those up if we hadn't actually paid attention to what that data said.
Well, and that makes me think this morning, I just told someone, I don't mind. Like I think I'm not a data person. I don't like to look at all that. I don't like to gather the information. Like
Mm,
that sounded like a lot of work
yeah,
trying to figure all that out and a lot of setup to begin with. Like you need to know where they come from. So you have to have
yeah.
tags in place and
Mm.
duplicate landing pages for them to opt in or whatever. And you're
See,
like,
that's like my favorite thing to do. I have this, I feel like I create these, it's called Miro, Miro, and it's like a mind map software. I just use the free version, but I'm a visual processor. I like to talk out loud. I like walk around and give myself an audio message. And so here's my system. This is a
yes,
system
tell
in
me
even
that.
this
Cause I'm like,
conversation,
wait,
right?
where does that audio message go? And then how
Yeah,
do you
yep. I'm
find
gonna
it?
walk you through the
Okay.
whole thing. So I know I need to create this launch plan or this follow through or whatever it is, right? And since I'm a verbal processor, but I need to see the finished process visually to see how everything connects, I have to kind of have both. So first, I download Otter. It's an app on my phone. I do pay for Otter. It's a transcription service. Their
Okay.
AI capabilities are phenomenal. So I walk around my house because I'm a pacer, or I go for a walk and I have Otter open and I'm just saying, okay, so we want to sell this offer and she's want to do an early bird, and early bird's only available for 48 hours and it's going to be on this page. So when people click here, this is what needs to happen. And I literally just talk through the whole thing because I'll identify holes as I'm like, oh, okay, if that needs to happen, then we should tag people at this step if they come from here. And so I'm like literally just talking out loud and realizing all of the elements, all of the pieces that actually have to come together. So now I have it in this 15, 20-minute long transcript. I open it up on my computer and I ask, hey, Otter, can you formulate that brainstorm into a process step, an SOP, or an order of process? You can phrase it however you want. And it will literally say, okay, first you said you need to do this, and then you need to remember to tag this person. And wait, you need to consider this part. And then next it goes into this phase, and next and next and next. So it has a whole order of
Oh
operations.
my.
So I pull that up in my transcript, and then I pull up Miro, and I'm going to confirm that it's Miro before I just like keep talking about this software that maybe isn't even the name. Yeah, it's Miro. It's Miro.com, Miro.com. It's a
Okay.
visual workspace. So now I open up Miro and I have my Otter transcription and notes over here. And now I visualize it out. So I drag and make squares that are emails and rectangles that are website landing pages and arrows that connect to things. And if this, then that. And I literally map it all out. When this happens in ConvertKit, okay, in order for that to happen, I need to back up and I need to create a Zapier. So it's a multi-step process, but to me, it helps me not miss any of those parts and pieces. And it
Mm-hmm.
gets us to the testing phase, not only a lot faster, but a lot more accurate. And so when we're doing final test, you're always going to find something that we need to tag here and we need to turn this on, we need to add this step. But if you do these steps and really get them thorough and really map them out first before you even go into the design phase, you're going to prevent yourself a lot of backtracking and a lot of, I'm clicking it and I'm sending it and why isn't it working?
Or I'm
And
paying for it and it didn't work.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it lets you know too, like, oh, okay, I use ConvertKit and I wanted a timer, so I thought I might need something like deadline funnel, but I actually don't because I can use this feature over here. So it really helps you see, there are no new systems that you need, or do we need to maybe pay for Zapier now because you're having a lot of like multi-step zaps happen, and all of those things kind of come to light when you understand how everything works together. But then you get into the build and design phase, and then you get to track data, and that's also my favorite part.
Well, and then the data, I think it helps too when the software is easy to collect the data from. Like that's
Yes.
key because I'm trying to get data from something and I'm like, I can't set the date and then it doesn't
Oh,
separate that. And I'm like, that's why I hate it because I can't
yep,
get it easily.
yep.
Real quick question. Do you believe that your work impacts lives and you want to reach more people, but behind the scenes, you kind of feel like a mess, constantly searching for files, overspending on software you don't even remember signing up for? you lack structure, you're wasting so much time. I've got just the thing for you. I want you to imagine your time was organized. You knew exactly what to do that would actually make you money. Your files were in a structure that makes sense to your brain. Your processes are running efficiently. I want you to think about the difference this could make in your business, in your life. No more drama, no more beating yourself up. All that time you wasted can now be spent filling your business with paying clients. Listen, I know that getting organized might feel super overwhelming to you. That's why I'm offering you a free class, 3 simple steps to an organized and profitable coaching business, where I'm going to share with you the only 5 files you need to organize your digital world. Head over to simplysquaredaway.com/5 files, the number 5 files, for instant access. You get to watch whenever it's convenient for you. And finally, get a simple understanding of the 3 parts of an organized business, one that runs with ease. This is the first step. Sign up now and transform your business from chaos to clarity. And a secret benefit, learning these skills will overflow into your home and life. You signed up? simplysquaredaway.com/5 files.
There's definitely some situations that have popped up where I'm like, this is not going to get us the like exact data that we want unless we do a manual formula. And okay, it's worth it to do for the first launch so we get it, or the first 3 so we can find the themes of what's actually happening here. But maybe some of that I have to let go. But with Airtable, utilizing, if we're mapping it out properly, and Zapier can connect to Airtable really easily. And so I've got a really great system of pulling in purchases and tagging the people and then seeing their behaviors out in a spreadsheet. And within Airtable, you can visualize that data. So you can literally create an interface that shows you a pie chart or a graph or a number or whatever, a comparison chart. And again, since I'm a visual processor, I love having just the giant spreadsheet of the data, but then I can just click a button and now I can see it visualized. And I'm like, okay, this is how I can understand this data and not just like look at a bunch of numbers.
Yes. Okay. This is all so amazing. And it's so fun to listen to you and imagine and, even think about it for my own business. But I'm thinking a lot of listeners might be like, holy cow, like that is so overwhelming. So I want to just go back to when you talk about systems, and you're a systems person, but also an operations person, but specifically systems. How do you define it?
Yeah, to me, they're kind of, I have a hard time kind of like spitting out a title, so to speak, for myself, because I do believe in small businesses like ours. And I've had this discussion before on another podcast, but we all call ourselves small businesses. I love that we're online as a small business, but we are actually micro businesses. Like, we are teeny tiny. None of us will have like the amount of employees that actually like qualify for a small business. Very, very few of us, I guess. I shouldn't say none of us. We are one woman teams sometimes, or one woman and a contract VA, right? And we have these very, very, very small teams. And so because of that, there's a lot of nuances to, we don't have a huge budget and we don't like have a lot of time. And just because we want to grow by this amount doesn't mean that that's possible in the container that we currently have or in the time that we currently have. And so knowing all of those factors really helps refine what we actually spend our time on. But the reason why I say that is because I think that my role is really hybrid in that I pay attention to operations and the operations of marketing, and then the systems that help kind of connect those two. So operations could be you and your team, and client communications, client delivery, right? And then marketing is obviously like launching new growth, new revenue, new sales. But then the operations that connect those two, because they swing and they talk to each other all of the time, especially in our businesses. And a lot of us can't afford to have a marketing specialist and an operations specialist and our tech person they're all the same person, and usually it's you. And so how do we actually get support there? So since I kind of live in those 3 arenas, the first couple of clients that I worked with when I went off on my own, I really wanted to help in and create the systems that I know that are so helpful for small business owners, so that you can make educated decisions on what to do next and decisions based on the results that you're getting, not necessarily what everyone else is saying that you should do and what would work, but what's actually worked before. And so the simplicity of this, the let your listeners take a sigh of breath, right? Release that. I come in, if we work together, and this is how I've worked with other clients, I come in and say, okay, of your offers and of your current marketing efforts, what's the data that's most important to you? We literally have a call where I just pepper you with a bunch of questions. What data is important to you? What data matters? Like what leads to a sale? What leads to a relationship? What are your growth goals within these offers? What are you working with right now? How many subscribers, how many sales, how many interested people? What's your current number situation, right? In your marketing and operations. And then I go through all of that and say, okay, based on what has already happened, here's what's already worked for you. And here are the results that you're already getting. So theoretically, if we dive in and hammer down more on what's already working and make it better, automated, easier, less manual work for you, the owner, then you are going to be able to create more revenue with less time, which is ultimately the goal.
So then the systems are connecting those two things, do you think systems and processes mean the same thing?
In my world, yes. And I think they're kind of interchanged, like the system of, onboarding a client has multiple processes within that system.
Mm-hmm. So systems, the bigger container of the little processes.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you talked about that, let's say someone's making 50K or less.
Yeah.
What are the essential systems that they should look at, consider, have in place?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the annoying thing is it's kind of unique to your circumstances. What are your current pain points? And this is a conversation that we could have, right? Okay, if you're making 50K and you're like, I feel like I need some systems, some stuff is falling apart, or I feel really overwhelmed, or I need some backup. One, I love that you're looking for systems instead of a VA. Not that I would love a VA. I would love another human to help me out in this process. And before you're ready for that, you need to utilize the tools that you most likely already have at your disposal, are very inexpensive, if not free, in order to organize the ecosystem of your business first. That is your job. You can get help with that for a project, like from someone like me who would come in and help with that. But it is your responsibility to create this system, to identify what those processes could be. You don't have to manage them forever, but it is your job to clean that up before we bring on a human and expect them to solve all of those problems for us. So we're looking at systems. We're looking at, okay, I'm making 50K. I would ask you questions like, do you have trouble getting your clients to pay on time? Are you forgetting to send invoices? Do your clients message you because they don't know what's coming next? Are they confused about the process? Do you have a long time from someone being interested to being able to book a discovery call with you, to being able to book a sales call? What's that process look like for you? And what are the struggling points within there? Are you realizing that you're going to a lot of, networking events, but that's not getting you enough leads or conversations? I would talk to you about getting yourself in the right room or really focusing on the right strategy to talk to the right person. Do you figure out that do you find yourself creating like a custom proposal and a custom offer for every single person that you talk to? Because we really need to organize your pricing and your packages and your proposal. When you're working on the project tasks, are you missing deadlines? Are you missing tasks? Are you having your follow-up conversations with your clients and realizing that there's a lot of stuff that you haven't done and that you forgot about? Is there a process that we could create there? Is there something that you find that you are doing this exact same for every single client and you're doing it manually? Could we automate that? Could we create a resource for all of your clients that's generic so that they could just watch a video or go through a short training or whatever it is? So I'm asking a lot of questions about your process, and until you kind of give me some information about like, oh yeah, I'm realizing I'm pulling up my books right now and the last 7 clients I've billed are still haven't paid me. Okay, we really need to talk about your invoicing and your system for getting paid and your reminders and your contract and your boundaries and your terms and all of that stuff. There's a system for literally everything. We just need to figure out what's the actual problem.
I love that. So it's looking at your own pain points.
Yep.
What is happening? And you just rattled off all those questions. I'm like, everyone, put it on half speed, take
Oh yeah,
notes.
sorry. I talk real fast when I get excited.
No, I love it because you're just asking them off the whim. You weren't looking at a list. And so everybody can take notes, ask themselves these questions. And what then? So let's say someone's having a problem. They're just find themselves doing a lot of little piddly admin stuff. They're saying the same thing to the clients over and over. They're making custom, like I kind of feel like that might be the main, or their content production, like writing the blog post or doing the podcast or something like that is taking way too long. I'm trying to think about what it would be for me. What is it? I mean, I have some of these things automated and
Uh-huh.
templates. I mean, templates I think are huge to
Yes.
help
Love me a
you.
template.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in again, in the scope of our business and the way that we work with clients, I feel like it's very rare to have everything in your business be 100% automated. I am
Yes.
not the type of business owner. My goal is not to completely remove myself from every single part of the process. Some of them, yeah, maybe some of them, but it's just me and I want it to be me and I want to connect with my clients and my customers. And so I'm not looking to completely remove myself. And so because of that, there are definitely things that I'm not even considering doing, right? I would rather create a canned response, a templated response, a follow-up video to send to a client because everyone's asking the same question, then hand that off to a VA and train someone on how to respond like me. I think that for me, it's important to still be a part of that experience. That's not to say that like other people shouldn't. I do that for clients. I am the VA for clients sometimes. And so it definitely makes sense for some people. But I think it's important to also ask yourself, like, what kind of what kind of business do you want to be running today and 3 years, 5 years from now? Do you want to have that team who can speak for you and serve your clients really well and show up and be like another arm, another face, another personality within your business? And if so, that's a different growth trajectory than someone who wants to always have it just be them.
Mm-hmm.
Are you wanting to, really narrow in your focus of what you're offering so that you can have very strict proposals that is project A, B, or C, and that's it. And that's going to save you a bunch of time on the back end because you're talking to that person and which bucket did they fall into? Okay, we're going to send them down this workflow, this automation, this track. Or do you like really coming up with what's perfect for that client? Then the process and the structure needs to come in with your non-negotiable price point and the amount of time that it's going to take. And because so that's kind of the business that I'm running, where it is unique what I'm coming in to do with
Mm.
you every single time. But the way that I do that is the same. The questions I'm asking might be different, but they're coming from the same place. The systems that I set up, the processes that I create for you might be unique for every single client, but it's all geared around the same thing,
Well, and
right?
your process in doing it is the same. The way you said,
Exactly.
here's my process. This is what
Yep.
I do. Yeah.
Yep. My process for designing that is the same. And my process for onboarding you is the same. And the access you get to me is the same. And the amount of time that minimum amount of time that the project is going to take is the same. And the starting price point is the same. And so there's so many things that are the same for every single client that it doesn't matter at the end of the day what conversation we're having at the front.
Yeah. That's so good. And it makes me think. So as you're talking, I'm thinking about my own business and what I do and what I've helped clients do. And it's some of those that come to mind is making a template for your notes. So if you're trying to teach or for your client, if you're trying to teach your client 10 things before they get out of your program, let's put that in your client notes. You can even
Yep.
share it with them, have it, take notes in there. I love the outline feature in a Google Doc. You
Yes.
can, I mean, it's like just so
It's so
beautiful.
good. Yep. I love me so I do this like, so with every client onboarded, I have a Zap connected that creates a folder in my Google Drive under my client subfolder, their name, their project start date or whatever. That's where all of their stuff is going to go to. They get the link to that immediately sent to them in an email, which is another Zap. Within that folder, I've got a set of templates that I move over because I already created my Google Doc template. I love, this is just part of my like kind of client experience. All of my Google Doc templates, they're templatized. It has my logo and coloring at the top. But when I work with a client, I replace it with all of their stuff because I want them to use it in their internal business. And
Yes.
so it takes me 2 seconds, but I change the logo at the top, the color of because you love me a pageless doc. Oh, they're just so sexy.
What
Just
is
like,
this? Wait, what?
oh, it's the pageless feature. And so you just go to file, page setup, turn it to pageless, and it
Doing
just
this
makes
right
your Google
now.
Doc like one big, long, beautiful thing. And so it's seamless. There's literally no page breaks.
Oh my goodness.
And it's so beautiful. And so I changed the color of the background, I changed the logo, and I changed the color of the header. And that's it. And that's custom now for that client. So every client communication that's going to be put inside of that doc is going to be sent with that duplicate template.
Oh my gosh, these are the things that it's so fun because I've worked a lot with Google Sheets and Google Docs, and now I work with clients and I get to show them, oh, you just do this, oh, you just do that, just like you
Yeah.
just did with me. And I
Yes.
love learning like that. I am gonna so switch everything to this now.
It's so pretty. It's so pretty.
All the little things. But those little things are so important. Like, and so when I have a client, I share our notes with each other and then I show them how to add it to their bookmarks bar in a
Yep.
folder that has our portal link in there. It has
Yeah.
the Google Doc link in there of our notes. It has the link to our calls at the top of it. So organized. So those are some things you can do for your clients if you're listening. Obviously, if you need help, get in Organized Coach Academy or call Emylee, things set up. But these are so fun to talk about. Okay,
Yeah.
what I want to know I don't even know what you call it, behind the scenes. What do most business owners, or not even most, but what are messes that you see?
I mean, especially around systems, I think systems are sexy at the end of the day. And when a new software kind of takes off, maybe it like went viral on TikTok, or a bunch of, people in that last virtual summit you went to talked about this one system. It's really easy to get distracted with the
Yes.
flashiness of a new system. I personally am someone, I do love tech. I love systems, obviously. And so I get sometimes distracted about like the new up and coming thing that no one's talking about in this really cool system. Oh my gosh, what could this solve? And so I really have to do a deep dive of, is this replacing a current system of mine? And if so, is it better? Is it cheaper? Is it more robust? Like, why would that be worth it? Or is it enabling me to do something easier or more automated? Is it helping? My biggest thing that I will continuously invest in is a connection for systems to talk to each other. Because if
Mm-hmm.
I can get data moved from here to here seamlessly, I'm going to do that because I'm someone who believes in, I don't love all-in-one systems. I don't think when they are too all-in-one that they do anything really well. They just do a lot of things. And so if you're looking for, sheets, right? Like use sheets, use that thing. If you're looking for a CRM and invoicing, like use that thing, right? We don't have to have these like all-in-one systems, but can we find a way for those things to talk to each other?
Mm.
And so typically when I'm like doing something like a system audit, I'm definitely like, we will sit down and I ask you, part of your onboarding is list every single software that you pay for right now,
Yeah.
every single one. And so right off the bat, I can typically eliminate a couple of them because you're not using them anymore. There's a better alternative that's now free or significantly cheaper, or we can get these to connect so we don't need this one. So we do an initial cleansing. But at the end of the day,
Cleansing. I like that.
yeah,
We are going to cleanse
we're
first.
going to cleanse this. We're going to purge. We're going to cleanse. But at the end of the day, it's not that unique. There could be a tech stack that's like you and I could use the exact same tech stack. You and another coach could use the exact same tech stack. But at the end of the day, like there's very, very few things that we need to actually be showing up for that are that unique where we need tens of systems. It's
Yes.
like a clean, lean amount.
Well, and the temptation is so there, and you see all these videos and you get ads and you see all this stuff, and you're just like, oh, that's so pretty. I need to
Yeah.
switch. And I always tell my
Yes.
clients, I'm like, no, you do
No.
not get anything until
No.
you have what you have organized.
Yes.
Then we can look at the rest of the stuff and what you want to
Yep.
change to, but don't do any of it until you
And
have your own stuff done.
until the thing that you're missing, the feature that you're missing is actually costing you sales,
Mm,
it's truly not worth it. I think that that's the thing that people don't really pay attention to, especially when you're talking about switching really big systems like typically project management or CRM. Those are there are biggest systems within, businesses like yours and your listeners. When you're switching those, there's a lag, there's a downtime. And there's a continuous downtime as you get clients moved over to the new system.
mm.
There's going to be missed payments. There's going to be late invoices. You might like lose some clients who don't want to move to a new system. There's always a cost, whether it just be your time or literal missed revenue because of a big change like that.
Yeah.
And I really need you to hone down on whether it's worth it.
Right. And in the beginning, I think in the beginning stages of your business, it's also the time you spent trying to learn it and the
Yes.
time you spent exploring. Like one weekend, I
Yes.
looked at Notion and I was like, this is so beautiful because I see the person who's an expert at it and
Yes.
it's so beautiful. And I just spent the whole weekend just playing.
Yep.
And then by the end of the weekend, I had
You're like,
nothing made.
oh,
And
I don't want that. Uh-huh.
I'm like, that is going to waste so much of my time
Yep.
trying to figure it
And
all
and
out.
this is when those reflective questions are really helpful, is if you find yourself being someone who's continuously looking at systems and getting distracted or spending the weekend like investigating, do that same walkabout that I do and really talk out loud. Like, okay, here's the process. Is there a sticking point there? Do I think that I could identify something within my current systems that could fix that? Like, what's
Right.
actually the problem? I could imagine that you're exploring Notion for like client experience, right? That portal, that dashboard, that's how a lot of people tend to use it. And it is beautiful. I've also used it for client dashboards before. Is that something that current clients are complaining about? Is it
Oh, that's a
something
good
that,
question.
you know what I mean? Like that is actually the piece that I want people to start with is this something that people have actually expressed frustration about that you're currently working with? Or is it a problem that you're creating because you wish it was pretty or it looked different or whatever? That really,
Or or are you buffering because you don't want to go do your content creation or whatever it is? Yeah,
yeah. What are you putting off?
so good. Okay, so what anything I don't know. What is the word? Like not gossip, but I want you to tell me what you see in the background that coaches struggle with the most. Because you see behind the scenes in their businesses. Like what maybe the better question is what should we if we're in the early stages of business be aware of that if we don't deal with it now it's
Yeah.
going to be a problem.
Yeah. To me, and I'm trying to figure out how to word this because I know what the consequences of this behavior is, and I'm not exactly sure what the actual problem behavior is. But it all stems around it's not necessarily, I'm just gonna like word vomit until my brain finally connects the dots.
Yes, do
It's
it.
not necessarily lack of consistency. It's part of that. It's not necessarily not following through on what you said you were gonna do. I think sometimes, honestly, there are so many of us that get so overwhelmed about what we could do that we don't create the consistency of what we are able to do and stick to that enough. So, from my role and my job, what makes my life harder, being the person who's helping you stay organized with your systems, if my clients change a big part of their launch at the last minute, they don't want to follow through with the plan that they've actually already created. If they want to add something brand spanking new, but they have this sense of urgency because their brain is like, if I don't have this, then I won't make enough sales. Or if I don't do this, then it's not going to go right or go well enough. We attach results to the missing marketing piece, right? Hey, I want to launch this private podcast, but it needs to go live tomorrow, right? Like that's not helpful for anyone. If we reschedule and not to me, the thing that helps you stick with your systems the most and stick with literally running your business smoothly is planning ahead as much as you can and sticking to that schedule. If you want to launch a podcast, for example, and you want to have your episodes go out twice a week, recording the episode that you need to air next week today is not going to be helpful. We need to get that edited. We need to get it up on your hosting platform. Are you going to write a blog post for show notes about it? Are you going to send an email? How are you going to notify people? Do you have a graphic? Are you doing any social content? There's lots of stuff that has to happen after that episode if you want anyone to actually listen to it. And so really helping keeping yourself in line with committing to, if I said I'm going to record today, don't skip it. Honor that space, just like I would have to show up to a meeting if I worked at a corporate job, right? Honor the times that you're booking yourself for. Don't move them around unless you absolutely have to, because you're just going to make it harder for yourself behind the scenes. And you're going to have all of these systems that are here to support you, and you're not going to be able to let them shine and let them do what they need to do because you're shuffling things around too much, or you're waiting until the last minute, or you're adding so much on your plate that you're not able to be consistent because there's too many things there.
Yeah. It's so not what I thought you were going to say, but it's so simple. Like it's so doable in the module in Organized Coach Academy for time. That's what we look at. We look at what are we spending our time on and what's the minimum things that we have to do.
Yep.
And by doing that, then create a system. So I just helped someone talk through when they do a podcast, then what happens, then what happens, then what happens, then what do you have to do to put that into an email, like all of those things and just getting it. And then we attached it to a folder on their bookmarks bar called SOPs. And then they could easily get to it. Just click on it, put it up, follow the steps.
Yep.
Be consistent with what you have.
Yes.
With the minimum things that you're doing all the time.
Yes.
And then again, it comes back to all those distractions, all the ads, all the temptations of gearing away from that. And that's what happens. Our business is not growing because we're like, oh, I need to do this new 30-day challenge. I need to I need to go.
So my trick to combat that, because man, capitalism is fierce and it's hard and it's very easy to get distracted and like want to buy all those things. When I'm not being sold to, when I'm in a great, clean, healthy space and I'm not distracted, I'm not scrolling TikTok, I'm not doing any of that stuff. I have a Post-it note on my computer. It's gone now because I don't have anything I need to be focused on. But I will ask myself when I'm in that right headspace, is there a system, a process, anything in my business that I do feel like needs refined right now? What is that? Is it client communications? Is it invoicing? Is it, I wish I had a better CRM, or I'm ready to, I've outgrown my current whatever, right? What is it? When you're in the clean headspace, have that Post-it note on your computer. And if you get served an ad, if you hear a conversation about something, first pause and say, does it solve any of the problems that I actually have going on right now? If no, exit out of that screen. Do not keep
that's
reading.
so good.
Don't do it. If yes, okay, allow yourself. And if you're really distracted, set a timer for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, however much time you need. That's how much time you get to look at their features, maybe sign up for a free trial, do some digging, and then put time in your calendar to actually utilize that free trial if you did sign up for it. And then ask yourself, is this something that is worth spending your time on investigating further? Create the system for bringing on something new or reorganizing your Dropbox or whatever it might be, right? Before you actually go all in on that. And then you wake up at the end of the day. This is the biggest thing, is the amount of annual and monthly subscriptions that people have, forget that they have. And when we have micro businesses, every dollar means a lot. And so quarterly, do your audit at the end of every year. Put it in glaring highlight in your bookkeeping platform when you signed up for something annual. Set it out for negative 30 days for when it renews, and check yourself. Did I use it? Is it worth renewing? Can I follow up on that? Do I need to spend more time so it's actually worth it for me? and keep yourself on top of utilizing the systems that you're actually paying for and using properly.
This is so confirming because I think Organized Coach Academy addresses all of these basic things that you need to have. And even in our business dashboard, we have a page for subscriptions and all of that. So it's
Yeah.
listed. So every time I look at my business credit card bill, and I
Yes.
see a subscription renew, I check, oh my gosh, did I update that? I click in one click, get there, check and see if it's the right price and when it is. And then
Yep.
you can glance at that and see, am I using it? Yes, 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 yes. Oh no, this one. I need to go
Mhm.
take that off. So good.
Yep.
But I also love what you said about look where your own pain points are right now and have it hanging up there. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm focused on.
Yeah.
How
If
can
if
I
I
make it
see if
smoother?
I see a solution to the problem I've already identified, great. Then I can explore it.
The other thing I think with that is back when my husband and I were going to do Body for Life. I mean, this was like 25 years ago, but
Mhm.
we were going to do that and we didn't have a weight bench. And I'm like, no, if we're consistent for, I don't know
Yes.
if it was 3 weeks or 3 months, I can't remember because the whole thing was 3 months. So it couldn't have been that long. But if we're consistent and we lift for a month, then we can go reward ourselves with a weight
Yep.
bench. And
Yep.
we were,
Yep.
and it made it
Yep.
so worth it. So same with
Yes.
this. Don't even look at that. Put that in your idea tracker under,
Yep.
software I might want. Put it in
Yes.
there, set a date on your calendar in 3 weeks or in a month. I'm going to come back to that and then check it out.
100%. Yep. Hold yourself accountable. And look, you also made progress. You lifted. You did the thing, right? You did what you wanted
Yes.
to do, even
And
if
you
it was
realize you can do it without it,
yes.
actually.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so good. Okay, that's where we'll wrap it up. And it's so fun too. We didn't say this at the beginning, but we found out that we both live in Kansas City. And
Yes.
so
We're
we're
gonna have
going for
coffee next
coffee
week.
next week. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Me too.
Um, but have you lived here your whole life? I don't think I asked that.
I grew up in Tulsa and moved here when I was 12 and then finished school here, went to high school here, and then ended up graduating from Mizzou in Columbia. So,
Nice. So
yes.
fun. Cool. Okay. Tell people where they can find you if they're ready to have you come in and use your Otter Miro.
All my nerdy tech stuff. Yeah, you can see what I'm up to on my website at creativescatalyst.com. It's multiple creativescatalyst.com. Or you can find me on Instagram to see all of the things that I'm doing at any given time, including writing and publishing books at Emylee Says, and it's EmyleeSays.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emylee, for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Wait, if you're finding this podcast useful, you must check out the Organized Coach Academy. It's my course where I walk you through every step to get your business organized, to get yourself organized, to save money and time, to prepare to hire someone, to do all the things that you want to do in your business with ease. Check that out at simplysquaredaway.com/OCA. Also, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but I would love it. It's my way of knowing that you're enjoying the podcast if you leave a written review. I have lots of freebies for you. They're linked in the show notes. You can find them in my bio on Instagram at Tracy Hoth. And until next week, have a beautiful day.